much. Here we go. Alrighty, good morning again. Hello to anyone new that has just joined us. However, if you are returning again after having sat through our earlier sessions, welcome back. You have seen me as the transitioning person from one session to another, but now I get to put on my cap that is Carrie Burton admissions counselor, but also line ambassador advisor. So I am the club advisor for our student tour guides on campus, and 4 of them have graciously offered their time out of their Saturday to hang out with you, to answer some questions, to tell you about themselves, to make sure that you understand what it's like from their perspective as Penn State students, and to hopefully convince you that this is a great place and it's a place where you want to be. We do also have a special panelist that we didn't tell you about ahead of time. It's a little bit of a surprise, but we do have Dennis Mejias. And Dennis Mejias is an admissions counselor here, but in this case, he's actually going to be wearing his parent hat because he is actually the parent of a current Penn State Brandywine student. So knowing that there are some parents on this call, we definitely want to make sure that you can hear from the perspective of a parent and be able to ask questions to him. A couple of reminders as we're going into this session. We are recording this session, so any questions that you ask and maybe we don't get to, or we don't get those answers, or you forget what we said the answer to that question, you're definitely able to go back and check out that recording later. We'll make sure that we have that posted on our website. And if you have any questions throughout this morning, you are able to ask them in the Q&A. So if you see that little Q&A button on your Zoom link, you're able to ask those questions there. Please ask them now. Ask them throughout the entire morning as our panelists are talking to you, because we want to make sure that we have those questions all set up and ready to go when Claire Nolan, one of our admissions counselors, comes in to chat with you at probably in about half an hour or so. We want to make sure that we dive right in, get these questions answered from each of our panelists. So I am actually going to switch this over to gallery view so you can see all of our different panelists here. Hopefully you are seeing them now. What I would love for our panelists to do is introduce themselves. If you guys could go down the line, starting with our students first, and then we'll have Dennis introduce himself and let us know, who he is and what his student is like. But students, could you share with us what your name is, obviously, but where you're at in your academic studies? What year are you? What high school did you come from? Especially some of our attendees are from our local high schools, so they'll probably recognize the high schools that you are coming to us from. And what is your current major? What is it that you are studying here at Penn State Brandywine? Just so our students know who they're listening to today.
Hi guys, my name is Chevelle. I'm a senior. I went to Chichester High School. I'm majoring in psychology and I'm minoring in human development and family studies.
Hey guys, might sound a little bit repetitive, but my name is Allie. I'm also a senior. I'm also a psych major and minoring in HDFS, so pretty much exactly the same as you just heard. The only difference is I went to high school it was called Boyertown High School, so it's a little bit further away from campus. It's in Montgomery County, so most of you probably haven't heard of it. Yeah, that's it.
Hi everyone, my name is Victor. I'm a junior here at Penn State Brandywine, an accounting major, and I'm from Downingtown STEM Academy.
My turn? Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, my name is Dennis Mejias. I'm Assistant Director of Enrollment Management at Penn State Brandywine. and I have a son who graduated from Upper Darby High School.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So just wanted to make sure they introduce themselves just so we have an idea of who is here in the room at this point. So what I would love to do is I would actually love to start with Victor. Victor, you come to us as a student who maybe had some interesting choices in terms of majors and campuses within Penn State, things that you had in mind originally when you applied. And I think maybe some of those things have changed since you originally started here as a freshman. Could you speak to the experience of maybe having changed your major, maybe changed the campuses in which you were interested? What has that journey been like for you? And could you let us know kind of where you're at? Are you happy with the choices that you made? And you know, where are you going moving forward from here?
Sure, yeah. So I originally applied to be a graduate from University Park in the Smeal College of Business there, finance. Then before I came to Penn State, I ended up switching to engineering to graduate in aerospace engineering at University Park. So I was planning on doing 2 and 2, 2 years at Penn State Brandywine, 2 years at University Park, because I could do all the obviously prerequisite engineering courses in the 2+2 program and then go to University Park. But then I guess as my time at Brandywine continued, I realized, one, that I didn't really want to leave. It was more so that, you know, I had to leave because of the major and program I was in, but really I kind of wanted to stay at this campus if possible. And secondly, I just wanted to save a lot of money, to be honest, because I'm a commuting student. So I don't have to pay room and board, and I plan on going to graduate school after. So I decided to pick a major that was a little bit more catered to what I want to do in graduate school, which is corporate law. So I switched to accounting to do that. And Penn State Brandywine offers 3 different business programs right now. So I decided the accounting program was the best for me because I'm a numbers guy, into math, as you could see with the engineering fit before. So I felt that, one, you know, the available major that I wanted that was a good fit was available to me at Brandywine. 2, I enjoyed working with the faculty at Brandywine. So I knew who I was going to be working with as a junior and senior. And I felt very comfortable continuing to do coursework with them, do research with them, et cetera. And then 3, obviously, I had the opportunity to stay in this community, stay at home and commute, and save a lot of money. So I felt that all around Brandywine just presented the best fit for me in the end. So I kind of learned that within my first 2 years, and I was able to make the shift pretty easily.
Cool. Thank you, Victor. I might bounce back to you with some other questions about that after. So thank you for sharing that with us. Megan, I would love to pop over to you and ask about the fact that you come to us from a pretty local high school. You are a student who is here obviously all 4 years, being that you're a senior. Is this something that you knew that you wanted for a very long time? Had you always heard of Penn State Brandywine, having come from our area? What led you to Penn State Brandywine specifically? And coming from a local high school, in a sense, do you feel as though everybody else at Brandywine is from the area, from your high school? Do you feel like it's just kind of a continuation of high school, or what has that experience, being someone who goes to school not too far from home, what has that experience been like for you?
So I always knew that I wanted to be a commuter student, and I have family who lives in the area not far from Penn State Brandywine, so I always knew that the campus was there. I just didn't know how big it was. It's bigger when you're actually physically on campus than it seems like when you're just driving by, which is what I was doing for so long. But being from a local high school, I do know a couple of students who are my year who also came from my high school, and I do know other students from my area who also go to Penn State Brandywine, but there is a mix of students from all over the place too at Brandywine that I have connected with and become friends with in my 4 years at Brandywine.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. So I'd like to bounce over to Chevelle at this point. Now, Chevelle, I know that you wear a lot of hats. You do a million things. And if we sat here and had you list out every single thing that you do and have done over the past few years, we would take up literally the entire session. So we're not going to do that. But I would love for you to share with everyone, are you someone, having come from high school, who always was busy, always did do a million things? Were you always super involved? Did you join every club? Were you the president of this, that, and the other thing? Did you always have your stuff together with your classwork and your home life? Because I know that you do now, but I'm so curious, and especially a lot of our students that are on this call right now, they are probably thinking, okay, so I'm seeing all these seniors and this junior on here, and they seem to have their stuff together. I don't know if I have my stuff together. Can you speak to kind of what you were like in high school and being someone now? Are you the same person you were, or have you maybe changed a little bit? What has that experience been like for you?
Hi guys. So when I was in high school, I wasn't really involved. It wasn't until my senior year that I really got involved in a different couple of clubs, because they're like, oh, it looks really good in your transcript that you're involved. So I was like, okay, let me join some clubs this year. And then once I transitioned to college, I knew, okay, I wasn't that involved in high school, so I really want to get involved and join clubs. My first semester, I wasn't too active on campus, so I was like, okay, this is boring. I'm just coming here, going to classes, so let's see what clubs are available. And since then, I've always been active until my senior year, so I have more time to focus on life after college and getting ready for grad school and my major. I've worked all 4 years throughout college. So the first 2 years is just because I wanted money and to not have to rely on my parents. Hey, Dad, I need money. And now that I live on my own and I have like my own car, so now it's a necessity that I need to work to pay bills. So managing clubs, classes, and work. Classes was obviously my first priority. And with my jobs, I kind of schedule that around my classes. So for most of my college years, I worked on campus in different departments. So I've been with Lion Ambassadors. I worked in the Blue Apple Cafe, a couple, like HDFS and advising. And then I transitioned off campus to work because I want to find something that was related to my major. So once I graduate, I have that experience. Yeah, it's just kind of like you have to know your limits. Like, okay, I can join this many clubs and still be good in my classes and work. So I kind of just pushed back this year to really focus on classes and working.
Cool, thank you. So, Allie, this is not something that I believe that you mentioned when you introduced yourself to everybody, but you mentioned that you are a senior, you mentioned that you are graduating. However, you are not of traditional senior age. You are not having been taken the normal traditional 4-year path with your academics. You are graduating early. I've stolen your thunder and I revealed that to everybody. But can you speak to us and explain to us kind of what that has been like for you in terms of, is this something that you always knew that you wanted to do? You wanted to graduate from college early. Is this something that you figured out while you were studying at Penn State Brandywine? Is this a result of having come in with AP credits or dual enrollment credits, or did you have to take a million summer classes? How is this even possible? How are you doing this? Is this something that you are continuing to enjoy? Are you having any buyer's remorse and regret? Do you wish that you were doing a traditional 4-year? Please tell us as much as you can about this experience.
So I think actually it ties into Chevelle's question really well. You mentioned that some people might think like, I don't have it together. It definitely comes with time, because graduating a year early, I had to learn to manage my time and my classes, and I've worked the entire 3 years. So you definitely just kind of pick that up as you go along. But back to my question, I, coming into college, had no idea I wanted to graduate early. I kind of thought like, graduating a year early, that sounds like a lot, that's crazy. During my first semester, I toyed with the idea of graduating a semester early just because I knew I was going to grad school. So I was like, might as well give a little bit of time. And then I actually talked to a professor one time about having the idea to graduate early, and how a lot of people were telling me that was going to be too much work and how I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it. And my professor talked to me about how she actually had graduated early, and she gave me a lot of helpful tips and kind of just advice on if that'd be best for me or not. And she kind of talked it through with me, so that was really helpful. So that's when I decided that I wanted to try to graduate a year early. As for actually getting there, I only came in with I only took one AP class in high school, so I only came in with, I don't know, a couple credits. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then I took a lot of summer classes. So it was definitely a lot of work. I was in school year round, but especially since I'm going to grad school, my program's going to be year round anyway. So it kind of just prepared me for that. Other than that, I took extra classes, I guess you'd say, during the semester, which was stressful sometimes and it was a lot of work. But now that I'm about to graduate, like it's surreal. I can't believe, like, I remember all these semesters where I was so slammed with work and had a million things to do all the time, and now it's like I'm graduating, it paid off. So I definitely still am glad with the decision I made, but it was definitely a lot of work. So
That's what I figured you would say, but I just wanted to make sure that I clarified that there. Okay, cool. So I actually want to come back over to Megan, but I believe also Victor will be able to answer this as well. Also Allie, and then Chevelle, I'd also want to hear kind of your perspective on this too. But Megan first, you had mentioned that you had pretty much always known that Penn State Brandywine existed. You'd driven by a million times. You knew that you thought it could be a good fit for you in terms of staying here, being here all 4 years, being a student here at Brandywine. One thing that you mentioned as well is that you commute. A lot of students that are on the call right now may be thinking of commuting as well, whether it is to save money, like I know Victor had mentioned, and we would just love to have you share with everyone, what is that commuting experience like? Do you feel like you just come to campus, do your classes, then go back home? Is it easier to do your classes, or I'm sorry, to study and do your schoolwork at home? Do you do a lot of it on campus? What is that experience being a commuting student like? I'd love to hear from you first, Megan, and then I might ask some of the others here because I know that you've had different situations in terms of where you've lived and when. So Megan, can you kind of share what that experience has been like for you?
Yeah, so it's definitely taught me a lot about time management because you have to plan for how long it's going to take you to get to campus as well as how long it's going to take you to get home from campus. I plan additional time just in case it takes me longer than expected to get to campus. I do tend to try to do a majority of my work on campus before I come home for the day after my classes. But I do spend a lot of time at home getting work done too. So kind of a combination of how I get my work done, but it's definitely taught me a lot about time management and making sure I have enough time to get things done in the day, as well as allowing time to get to and from campus so I can be on time for my classes.
Cool. Allie, could you speak to what that commuting experience has been like for you, especially because, as you mentioned when you were introducing yourself and where your high school is located compared to where campus is, you're just a little bit further out compared to the other folks that we have here on the panel right now. How has that commuting experience been like for you? Did you ever wish that you just chose to live on campus instead? Would it really have been that much easier? What has it been like for you?
yeah, so for me, I'll be real. I didn't know Penn State Brandywine existed. My family is not big Penn State fans. Only I like Penn State because of Thon. So that's what originally got me looking. And Penn State Brandywine was the closest to me that also had a psychology major that I could stay there the entire time. So that's why I toured it. And when we drove there, I took my tour, talked to faculty and students, and I loved it. So I was like, okay, I'm going here. Now, am I going to live here? Am I going to commute? Because it is about an hour from my house. And I ended up deciding, personally for me, I thought it was better to commute because I didn't really want to leave my family. My best friend lives 4 doors down from me, so we're together all the time. And I wanted to try to save money and not pay for room and board. I actually crunched some numbers in the beginning to see if gas or room and board would be more cost friendly. It ended up being gas, so it was more so did I want to make the hour drive on the days I had classes. And I thought it was going to be really rough, but I actually ended up coming to really enjoy my hour drive in the morning because it was kind of my time to get my thoughts, like what I had to do that week, what assignments I had due, when I had to work, all sorts of things. I'd plan it out in my head, and I just kind of had time to decompress and relax on the way there and on the way back. So even if I had a long day of classes, I still got to just take some time to relax before I got home. So I ended up really liking the drive, even though it is a bit long. And how Megan said, I was kind of the same way. I would do work on campus either between classes or after class before I went home. But I also did a lot of work at home too. So it was just kind of where I was and what worked best that day. But it was definitely a lot of time management, making sure you're not forgetting to do things in the midst of traveling back and forth.
Cool. So Victor, if you wouldn't mind mentioning what that experience as a commuting student has been like for you, I'm gonna put you on blast for a second and know that you are not like the seniors that are here in the room who have time management down really well to an exact science. The rest of the gang is laughing right now because Victor has been known to cut some meetings just a little bit close, making sure that he gets to campus just on time. So Victor, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us what that commuting experience has been like for you, what has it taught you about time management? Where are you at with things at this point, knowing that you need to be places at certain times?
Yeah, it's forced me to come to terms with the way I am. I guess in high school when I would be late, I could kind of put the onus on other people, like, oh, you know, my sister was taking forever to get ready, so that's why I was late this morning, blah, blah. But really, once you get to college, especially planning the commuting time too, it really just puts the onus on you. Like I would show up, you know, maybe 5-10 minutes late to a meeting or whatever, and I'd just be like, yeah, it's on me. Like at this point, there's nothing really I can say or do to blame anyone else. So it really, I guess, having the responsibility to also budget the time for commuting and whatnot adds a lot more responsibility to yourself. And I feel like over time, I've definitely gotten better. There's still room for improvement for sure. Especially, you know, commuting. I'm about 35 minutes away from campus, but of course I take the 30 bypass and 202 for those of you who are familiar with the area. And they can be pretty random with the amount of traffic that they have at different times of day. So you really just have to be, I guess, one, just know, you know, how much time it takes to get to the place. Parking is not an issue on campus. We definitely do have a lot of room to park. So you won't have an issue with that. It's free to get a parking pass to park on campus too. So that won't be an issue for anybody. So really, living the commuting life adds a lot more responsibility to yourself, and it really just grows you up a little bit faster. I would say so.
Thanks, Victor. Again, sorry to put you on blast, but I wanted to make sure that our listeners understand and know that you don't have to necessarily be the very best with time management right now or completely have it all together. And it's a learning curve and a work in progress. And even as a junior, you still are figuring things out. So you have plenty of time to figure yourself out and get yourself together. Chevelle, you mentioned when you were chatting before that you now live on your own. So a little bit different compared to the other panelists we've heard from. They are living at home, what home has always been for them. You are not currently living at home. What helped you make that choice? Has it been a really big adjustment for you? Is it easier or harder to do your work there? Do you still do your work on campus? What is that like for you?
So I was kind of forced into living on my own. So my dad got sick, so he wasn't able to take care of the bill. So I was like, okay, I'll move. This is my senior year, so it'll kind of get me ready for living on my own anyway. It has been a big adjustment. I would say it's definitely got me ready for adult life. So like I have to pay rent, electricity and all that, make sure my bills are paid on time. So a lot of the time, I'm focused on schoolwork, but if I'm not focusing on that, I'm just like, okay, I gotta work to get bills paid. So kind of sometimes take away from being able to hang out with friends or go to places that I like to, because I have to think about my bills first, make sure I have a roof over my head. But from time to time, I like to splurge on myself and have fun. I get majority of my work done on campus because I have a lot of free time. And as you get into your major, you kind of schedule your classes around times that you would like to, as long as there's more than one section. But sometimes I can get distracted or I'm in meetings or a club meeting. So I'll do some work at home, even though it can be a little distracting because I like complete silence. So I have to find that space to where I can just focus on my schoolwork. But yeah, it's great. I like having like my own space, being independent. A lot of my friends like, oh, I wish I could be like you, have my own place. So like during certain like holidays, all my friends were like, oh, hey, can we have a party at your place? Can we come over to your place? So I had its advantages and disadvantages.
Great, thank you. And one thing I do want to mention is that the students you're hearing from right now are, as you have heard, all commuting, whether it's from home or from their own local apartment. If you're curious what it's like to live on campus, I do believe that in our next session, one of our student athletes that will be speaking in that athletics panel, I do believe one of them at least one of them is currently living on campus. So you'll be able to ask some questions about what that experience is like to those students then. So thank you guys for sharing this information thus far. I actually want to come over to Dennis at this point. Dennis has been sitting there so patiently, being not of a traditional student age. Dennis, if you missed when we came in, I mentioned that I brought Dennis in, even though he is one of our admissions counselors. He is currently the parent of a current student here at Penn State Brandywine. So I've asked him to take off that admissions counselor hat and to put on his dad hat. And Dennis, I would love for you to share with the parents that are on the call, because I'm seeing in our attendees here that there are some parents that are on the call or sitting there with our students. We would love to hear from your perspective. What was the transition like going from having your son be a high school kid to now being a college kid? What did that look like from your perspective? He is your first, he is your only son. So what has that experience been like? And also, if you wouldn't mind then elaborating on the fact that he is a student that is living at home and he is commuting to and from campus each day for his classes. So what was that transition like, having your high school son live at home and now having your college son live at home? How have you been able to balance and manage having that in your household? We'd love to hear from you about that.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for the question, Carrie. As I said earlier, I am Dennis Mejias, and I'm the Assistant Director of Enrollment Management at Penn State Brandywine. But for the purposes of this panel, I am taking off my badge, my official Penn State badge, and putting on my dad cap so that I can get into my character here. I am the very proud father of Jake, a graduate of Upper Darby High School, who is now a senior communication arts and science major here at Penn State Brandywine. I've worked for Penn State for 20 years, so I know just how special a place Brandywine can be. But this was Jake's journey. It was his time. So I took a step back and let him look around for his right fit. And of course, I was happy that he chose right, he chose the correct choice, which was my campus, but for his own reasons. I would like to believe that he chose to stay close to home because he loves mom and dad. But I'm not that dumb, so, I'm going to sort of allow for other reasons that he would have chosen. He actually says that he decided to come to Penn State Brandywine in order to save the thousands of dollars that living at home allows, like Allison said. But more importantly, I believe he says that he did it to stay close to Philadelphia, which we know is the 5th largest metropolitan area in the United States. He felt that there is a great nightlife, which of course he's been taken advantage of since he's turned 21, full advantage. And he likes the largest social environment, not all over the city, but in the suburbs and further out west of us. There's a lot of opportunities to do different things that you can't always get on a college campus. And of course, there's plenty of opportunity for work in such a large city, which of course I appreciate. My wife and I both went away to college, so we were concerned about his college transition and all around his experience, right? We had our own experience and it was perfect for what we wanted out of life and our circumstances coming out of high school. But this was more about what kind of experience will he get? Should he be sharing the same experience as ours, or is he the same kind of kid that we were? We were very different. I would like to think that Jake has his life a little bit more together than we did back then. We were very young and coming right out of our family's houses, and we tried to raise Jake to sort of be more experienced in life than maybe my wife and I were. We have been pleasantly surprised to see that he's getting that normal college experience, right? It's the right fit for him. The experience that he's chosen is the right fit for him. While here at Penn State Brandywine, he had the opportunity. He is a line ambassador, so he's had the opportunity to be a line ambassador where, on his point of view, is a nice club. You know, these are some of our best kids. But from my point of view, he's had the opportunity to sharpen his presentation skills by giving campus tours to many, many families. He's done very many activities that has allowed him to gain a lot of experiences because he's participated in several on and off campus activities. So to me, it's more important that he has that valuable experience, but to him, his participation socially is probably a better way to look at it. And to me, I don't really care. Whatever way you look at it, he's still getting his experience. He traveled to Spain as a freshman, so it's very important to sort of note that a lot of some college students travel abroad by their junior or senior year, but as a freshman, Jake went to Spain and traveled around Spain with his class. He really had a valuable experience there. He's also felt that he's become a part of the campus community. You know, he's feeling much more comfortable coming from Upper Darby, where there were 4,000 students in the school, and now he's at Penn State Brandywine, where there are 1,400 students on the entire campus, but he's still part of a larger Penn State community where there are 80,000 students altogether. So he had to transition from a large environment to a smaller environment, but he's still part of that larger environment whenever he wants it, if he wants to go to University Park or if he wants to participate in experiences that allow him to do that. His transition has been pretty normal. I miss seeing him when I come home at the end of the day, like I did while he was in high school. Because now he's always on campus, either in class or he likes to do his homework over there, which I appreciate also. So really, I don't really see him very much. But when I do, we have the opportunity to catch up. He tells me about his day and his experiences. So I appreciate that he's finding his way and almost ready to take on the world as a prepared, productive member of society.
Cool. Thanks, Dennis. You gave yourself a little bit of a tongue twister right there at the end of that one. Productive. All right, cool. So what I would love to do at this point is I definitely want to make sure to remind everyone that is out there and listening to us to take advantage of the Q&A that's down there. And I'm saying that to our students that are asking questions because I'm seeing them come in. Thank you for that. But also for the parents that are on the call, you have Dennis here to be able to answer your questions. So if you have questions from that parent perspective, I know we advertise this as a student panel, and it is, but if you as a parent are there and you have that question too, you can ask it to Dennis, but you can also ask it to our students. If you as a parent have a question that you would love to ask our students, they would definitely love to answer that for you and give their honest opinions and perspective on things. So I do have some other things that I want to make sure that we can acknowledge and a little bit more about each of these students because if you can't tell, I'm very proud of them as our student tour guides and as being their advisor. I love them very much and I miss seeing them on campus each day right now. And I want to brag about them and make sure that they brag about themselves because they're super awesome. So one thing that I want to actually ask Allie about, I'm not sure if you mentioned this before, you may have, but I would love for you to elaborate a little bit more. Some of our attendees in the last session heard from Hans Schmidt about our honors program, and you are someone who's participated in the honors program. So if you could speak a little bit more about what your experience as a Cooper honors scholar has been like. Did you come into it right away? Is it something you joined a little bit later? Is it part of the reason you came to Penn State Brandywine? And what are some of the perks and some of the things that you've gotten out of that experience being in that honors program?
So I joined the honors program. I accepted an invitation in it before I started my freshman year. So we had an honors dinner We got to meet all of the other honors kids that were starting in our same year. It's actually how I met Victor. So I've known Victor since before we started classes freshman year. So I've met a lot of my really good friends on campus through the honors program. Probably people that I would have not really met otherwise, just because we're like, Victor's had a bunch of different majors that are way different than anything I am. So we probably would have never been friends had we not been in some sort of same club together. And it just so happened we met each other before freshman year. Other than that, I've gotten to meet a lot of the faculty at Brandywine through the honors program, because we have various like honors dinners, and we call it the Socratic Symposium, where everyone presents their research. So you get to meet all the different faculty, and again, more students that you may not have met previously. And you also have to do a honors thesis before you graduate. So I am in the midst of finishing that up now. Sounds like a lot of work, but it is, it's like bittersweet when you're done, because I'm almost done now and I'm like, I can't believe I did this. And I've gotten really close with my thesis advisor, my thesis reader, and Dr. Schmidt. So that's 3 more faculty members that I've gotten to interact with a lot more than I would have on a regular basis, just because we have to go back and forth constantly. Some of the perks, I guess. I mean, I kind of already said some of them, but you get cool t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now. They're free. And whenever we have like our lunches and dinners, you get food, which is also free, so that's cool. And then we do sometimes like special trips for the honors program. So I know my freshman year, we went to Eastern State Penitentiary. I don't know if I said that right. So we took an honors trip there, and they do little trips and stuff like that throughout the years. So it's pretty cool.
And our students, as student tour guides and line ambassadors, they're always instructed to never speak about their own personal situations in terms of finances and things like that. So Allie did very well by not mentioning anything about finances, but I will also mention that usually being in our honors program, there is usually some extra scholarship opportunity, different special perks like that as well. So thank you for mentioning all of that, Allie. I wanted to make sure that anyone that is listening that might be interested in kind of having that like honors or AP that you might be having in high school right now, if that's something that might be interesting to you at the collegiate level, definitely consider either accepting that honors offer that maybe has already been extended to you, or reaching out to us and asking about, might I qualify for the honors program? We do kind of like a holistic review of GPA, the classes you took, your SATs, the things in which you've been involved. We put all those things together and determine if you could be a good fit for our honors program. So we would love to hear from you if you have interest in that. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us about that. So those were most of the things that we really wanted to hit before we opened it up to our Q&A. So thank you so much for asking all these questions that you've been putting in our Q&A. I'm actually going to direct over to Claire Nolan in our admissions office now, who has been moderating our questions this whole morning. She's been compiling them, and if she wouldn't mind getting those out to our students and Dennis and to whoever might be the most appropriate person, we'll definitely get your questions answered for you now.
Sounds good. So we've got some great questions here. The first one I'm going to just quickly answer so that we can move along. It was, how much is parking? Parking is free at Penn State Brandywine. It's something that we're very happy about. In the first couple of weeks of classes, students just follow they fill out an online form to actually get their vehicle registered to park, and then they can park for the rest of the year. And so no cost for parking, which is good. A student has actually asked us in a previous session and we didn't get to answer it, so I'm glad that it was asked again today. Dennis, you briefly mentioned about Jake taking advantage of opportunities to go up to University Park, but just a quick kind of show of hands from the panelists. Do any of you go up to University Park, whether it be for games or for career events or anything like that? Awesome. Oh, great. Very good. Victor, do you mind speaking on your experience to opportunities to get up to University Park?
Yeah, so I've gone up for a bunch of different things, actually. I think my freshman year, I went up to 5 of the 7 home football games, which was kind of crazy. That was a lot. But this past year, I still went up to 2. I went up to the whiteout game, which is the most attended, most popular. I went into the stadium the first 2 years. The atmosphere is unbelievable. And I think both of the years that I went to the whiteout game, they broke the record for the most attendance at the game. This year, I went to the Penn State versus Pitt game, which is a huge rivalry. The atmosphere is super fun for that. And a lot of my friends, both from University Park and from Pitt, actually we all met up on campus. So that was pretty cool. So I've got them for a lot of sporting events. In terms of academics, last summer, I spent 2 weeks at University Park doing research when I was still an engineering major. So that was pretty cool. I got to work with faculty both from our campus, but also the University Park campus. And I got a grant to do that research actually. So it was pretty awesome. And then third, as a Schreier Scholar, you can graduate as a Schreier Scholar from our campus, but you can also graduate from University Park. That's where the Schreier Honors College is held. And they did a leadership development seminar last year in March, that I attended. So that was a pretty awesome program too. So I got to take advantage of both the academic aspects, but also the obviously super fun drives up there as well.
That's terrific. So I'm glad I went to you on that, Victor, because you definitely have a lot of experience with that. So know that for incoming students, where there's so much activity that goes on at Penn State Brandywine, you can also take advantage of the programming at University Park, which is nice. There is a bus that goes each year from all the different campuses for all U Day. So another cool opportunity to get onto University Park. So another student had asked about things that kind of happen at Penn State Brandywine, and you all are so very involved. And I will tell you from my personal experience, when I first got this job in the first, I want to say 3 days that I worked there, I pulled onto campus and I looked over to my left and there were tons of, there was an alpaca, it was an animal farm. So certainly there are a lot of events that go on to kind of, alleviate some stressors for students and try to make them feel more comfortable on campus. And sometimes it's as simple as having them pet an alpaca. Chevelle, I think you were on Student Government Association. Could you speak at all to different events and kind of student programming that happens at Penn State Brandywine?
So I was on SGA, which Claire says, our Student Government Association, for 3 years. So we have programs from our different clubs on campus. We also have programs from our Beast. So they're their own club that plan different events and student affairs, and our athletes also program events. So we'll have our Wellness Wednesdays. So student affairs will bring in speakers, or certain clubs like the DMAX Club will have different stress relief events. Our library also hold different events on Thursdays. So sometimes they'll have like a Halloween party. We'll have a talent show. So we have an annual talent show every year. We'll have like galas, we'll have people from The Voice, we'll have a casino night, we'll have different events that are like, we'll have a First Friday event, so like a dance or like just some kind of event to get students engaged. We'll also go to sporting events, so like the Sixers games, hockey games, Phillies. We'll go to ice skating. We'll go to an orchard, so to like pick pumpkins. So we'll have like during the holidays, gingerbread carving. Not gingerbread carving, gingerbread house building and pumpkin carving, I'm sorry. We'll also have a competition between clubs and faculty during Thanksgiving to see who can bring in the most holiday items. And yeah, so like even if you're a freshman and we don't have a club to join, you can start your own club. If there's an event we don't have, you can go to student affairs, and you can ask them to, hey, I would like to have this activity on campus, and they can work with you to plan it. So it's endless opportunities to go to different events, to plan your own events, to get connected with the club, say, hey, I would like to join on this event with you. We have some authentic food, so we'll do Chinese New Year. We'll celebrate different heritages each month. So there's a lot of opportunities to have fun and experience different things.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about working on a college campus is seeing all the different events. It helps us get to know our students in different ways. When we see, a talent show and you find out that this student has this most incredible, musical talent, and things like that really make it a very rich atmosphere. And so we definitely really like that about Penn State Brandywine, lots of things going on. Really quickly, someone had asked about the different clubs that you all are involved in. So I wonder if over the years, we could kind of quick boom, boom, boom down the list, and you could list some of the different activities that you've been involved in. And then we'll move on to the next person because we're running a little bit low on time, but we can start with Allie if you don't mind.
Okay. So I have been relatively in the same club since I started. I started out my freshman year. I joined our Thon club on our campus, Line Ambassadors, and Psych Club was the first year. And then that I still have been in all of those. I'm not in Thon anymore just because I didn't have enough time for everything. And I had become more invested in Line Ambassadors than Thon, so I just decided to kind of focus more of my time with Carrie. And then I also we started a honors club for the honors program. So that wasn't around my first semester or even my first year, I don't think. But then starting my second year at Brandywine, I was part of the honors club as well.
Great, thank you so much, Allie. And Megan, if you could say over the years some of the clubs that you've been involved in.
So going into my junior year, that summer, I was an orientation leader. And then that's what kind of got me started on getting involved in stuff on campus. So my junior year, I started writing for the campus newspaper, the Lion's Eye. I was also in the campus Marcom club, and I'm a Lion ambassador. My senior year, I kind of had to take a step back from my other clubs that I was involved in because I was too busy. So I kind of focused on Lion ambassadors, kind of like Allie. That's what I'm mostly focused on this year.
Great, thank you so much. And you can kind of see how students evolve, and in their senior years, they are, really nose to the grind with their academics. Chevelle, could you say some of the clubs that you've been involved in over the years?
As I mentioned, SGA, Thon, Lion Ambassadors. I've been an orientation leader and orientation assistant. I've been a parent mentor, a tutor. I've been in Blue and White Society. And I think that's it, just to keep it short. And then this year, I'm just mainly focused on Lion Ambassadors.
And we won't get into the subject further, but I think, Chevelle, you've worked in quite a number of offices at Penn State Brandywine as well. So we all kind of fight over Chevelle. And Victor, could you say some of the clubs and the athletics that you've been involved in as well?
Sure, yeah. So I'm, like I said before, I'm in the Shire Honors program. I'm a varsity tennis player. I also play a lot of the intramural sports once we have them, particularly basketball. I love playing. I'm also a peer tutor in the STEM lab. And what else do I do? Sustainability Club. We love doing the camp construction project every year where we compete against other students and faculty. So that's pretty cool. And then I feel like I'm forgetting something. That's about it. That's roughly it. Line ambassadors, of course.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was trying to give you a hint there. Our line ambassadors tend to be very, very involved. And Victor, not to mention.
Global programs too.
There you go. Can you tell everybody how many international trips that you've gone on as a Penn State Brandywine student?
I've been a part of 2 of Brandywine's embedded programs and then 1 of Schreier's study abroad programs too.
And can you just briefly say where you went?
Sure, yes. So freshman year, like Jake, I traveled to Sicily and Malta. And then sophomore year, I traveled to Ireland over my spring break, which was in March. And then the following May, I guess the May after my sophomore year, I went to Thailand for about a month. So being a commuting student, I kind of got that experience of living away from home for an extended period of time. So that was definitely a pretty unique experience. And I was able to apply for money towards all 3 trips. So that was pretty awesome too.
Yeah, thank you for that. Definitely, always looking for scholarships that are out there. And so on that note, oh gosh, we need to quickly say, Carrie, can you tell people what Lion ambassadors are?
I know, I saw that question just come up, and I'm so glad that as we're transitioning out to our next session that I get to brag again about the Lion ambassadors. So I am the club advisor for the Lion ambassadors. The 4 students that you see here are all Lion ambassadors, and again, to brag about them, they're the executive board, so president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary of the Lion ambassadors. They are a club on campus, but their primary focus is being tour guides. So even though you're not going out physically on tour on campus with these students today, that's who we wanted to make sure that you heard from, because they know everything about our campus. They love talking with our prospective students and their families about our campus. So the Lion Ambassadors is a club. It is also a job. So if you are looking for an on-campus job next year and you like the idea of maybe getting to chat with people over your time as being a student, chat with people that are thinking Penn State could be a good fit for them. That's what our student line ambassadors do. So I'm putting in that plug because I would love to have you apply to be a line ambassador tour guide for next year. And as you heard, 3 of these seniors here are graduating, so we definitely want to bring in some new folks to not replace them, but to help support our club and our efforts from the admissions office. So great questions, and if we didn't answer your question, we'll make sure that we get either sent that answer out to you. We might save it for the next panel. So reminder, if you are thinking of coming to our athletics panel, which is going to be starting in the next few minutes, that is going to be starting at 1 o'clock. I see that Bobby Caprice has already joined in, our athletic director. So I'm going to be booting her out in the next minute. She booted herself out. There we go. So she's just so excited, as you can see already, to join in and chat with you this morning. But we are going to be closing this session out. If this is the first one you were in, you have not seen how it's worked already, but we're going to close the session out. But the link that you click to get into this session, you're going to click it one more time. You're going to get into our athletics session that is starting in just the next few minutes. And we are going to be chatting everything athletics, involvement on campus. So bring those questions, even if it's not necessarily athletics related, we can talk more about being involved on the campus. And this is not just for recruited athletes. So if you think you might want to play any type of sport, whether you've been recruited or not, whether it's at our varsity level or club or intramural level, we would definitely want you to join in on this call. So thank you so much for hanging with our students and parent today for this session. Thank you so much for spending the time and giving those good questions to these students. They miss being with you, but we hope to see you in our next session. And if not, make sure to take our virtual tour, because even though these tour guides couldn't give you the tour today, they want to make sure that you check out our awesome campus. So hopefully we'll see you in the next few minutes. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.